Your Honor, former Winder police officer Christopher Wigner filed this under state law. However, pursuant to 40-13-22, it should have been charged under local ordinance because this occurred on a Winder city street and not a state highway. And pursuant to 40-13-22B, even if I pled guilty to it, I would have to be fined or imprisoned pursuant to Winder's local charter. So first of all, the former police officer falsified that citation by marking it state law instead of local ordinance.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, Mr. Cooley, this is an oral motion that you're making now, right? I mean, have you filed a motion in the case?
Not yet, Your Honor. However, if you don't grant my dismissal today, then I will be filing motions and demanding a motions hearing.
I think that that's the procedure that you need to follow to give the state notice of how to respond to your motion. Do you have a lawyer to represent you today, Mr.
No, Your Honor, I will be representing myself pro se.
And you understand, Mr. Cooley, you have not only a right to hire a lawyer of your own choosing, but if you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, the state will appoint a lawyer for you if you qualify financially.
Your Honor, I'm very familiar with the court system and how it operates, and I choose not to have a lawyer. I will be representing myself, and I will be handling all the decisions in my case myself.
I understand, Mr. Cooley, that you're also familiar with the court system. I don't know if that means that you have the requisite knowledge of the system that you need, but if you choose to represent yourself, then you may. Do you want to plead guilty or not guilty today?
At this time, Your Honor, I reserve not to make a plea. If Your Honor chooses to plead on my behalf, I will certainly object to it.
Well, Mr. Cooley, if you're choosing to stand mute, that is to say nothing, when I ask you how you plead, I believe I've got no choice but to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf.
That's fine, and as I will do object.
That objection is noted, Mr. Cooley. The record will reflect that the court is entering a not guilty plea on Mr. Cooley's behalf because he stood mute when the court asked him how he wanted to plea.
Well, Your Honor, I object. I did not stand mute. I said I chose not to make a plea at this time.
I suppose that is correct, Mr. Cooley.
Your Honor, there is one other thing I would like to bring up. I filed a demand for the return of my private property. My property was taken from me 175 days ago. That's 252,000 minutes so far. The Georgia State Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, Paragraph 1, states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property except by due process of law. Now, the former Winder police officer, Wigner, decided he was going to be judge, jury, and executioner and take my property from me. Now, this property is what I use to get my scooter around because, as you are aware, or may not be aware, in my demand, I am disabled, and I use that pickup truck to get my scooter around. And since my pickup truck has been stolen from me, and that's what it's been, stolen from me, I have not been able to use my scooter and been forced to walk. And I'm moving this court to order the return of my property because my due process rights have been violated. I mean, it shouldn't have taken me 175 days to be heard on this issue.
Well,
And I further move the court, I charge $1 a minute for however long my property's been taken from me. Now, it's been 252,000 minutes. I'll accept $52,000 from a check from someone plus my property, provided I get it back today.
well, I don't believe that that issue is before the court today. If your truck was seized because the tag was expired and you were in fact breaking the law by having the truck on the road,
I object to Your Honor accusing me of breaking the law.
I said perhaps.
I have not been found guilty of anything.
This is true, Mr. Cooler.
And there is no Georgia code that can take my property unless I've been found guilty of something in a court of law. That is what due process is. You need to have your day in court, and I have not had my day in court since my property's been taken. And we're talking 175 days.
Well, I don't know the circumstances of how your property or where your property is, if it was taken, if it was seized, if it was impounded. I don't know, and that's not before the court today. I'm not going to consider the issue of your property. That's an issue between you and the Weiner Police Department or whoever has possession of your property.
Absolutely not, Your Honor. It's for Your Honor to make an order because I have asked the Weiner Police Department to give me my property back, and they've ignored me. I've asked Brown Record Service to give me my property back, and they said no. My property is being held illegally.
Well, Mr.
And first of all, the former police, he's a former Weiner police officer. He was terminated from there. He told me, I'm taking your property because you've already had 2 tickets for the same thing. There's no law code that says that an officer can do that. When I questioned Chief Fullington, he said it's an unwritten policy that we have. I'm sorry, since when did we start taking people's property by unwritten policy?
And Mr. Cooley, you either need to file a motion or a
I did file a motion, Your Honor. It's in.
He has filed a motion, Your Honor. I can provide you with clerk file.
I'd like to see it, yes. What is the state's response to the motion?
Your Honor, to my knowledge, I believe the policy of the local law enforcement agencies is it's up to the discretion of the officer when they have a traffic offense like this. Obviously, they made the decision to impound his vehicle. I believe that he is free to get his vehicle if he'll pay a fee for that impoundment, and he doesn't have to pay that fee.
I am not paying no extortion fee. And that's what it amounts to, an extortion fee. This is the same officer who had me arrested in another case, in another traffic case, and impounded my property when he should have given it to its rightful owner, who was on scene, and told my wife, who was the owner of the other property, when she asked for it back, he said, no, I'm impounding it, when there was absolutely nothing illegal about the property. That's why this officer was terminated. He seems to want to do things for himself, and even the chief, I'll provide Your Honor with a copy of his 19-page separation notice.
And Your Honor, as far as the officer's termination, I'm familiar with that. I don't believe he was terminated for any conduct in this case. There are other witnesses on this case that are on the witness list. I believe one other witness from Water PD. It's the state's position, honestly, Your Honor, I don't know what you can or should or shouldn't do as far as this truck's concerned. The state is not overly concerned with what happens to this truck.
Your Honor, they can't have,
Well-
Your Honor, they can't have somebody else testify in place of Officer Wigner. He's the one that stopped me, he's the one that wrote the tickets. They can't have somebody testify in his place.
Your Honor, I believe that's a trial
Well,
issue.
This is a criminal case. Mr. Cooley, your property